from zero, where you need to clear bad blood and clear bad energy, then Oya is a perfect force to invoke. You can see the process of things being swept clean, as she is the hurricane and winds that remove objects and completely reface the landscape. This is a form of purging and of cleansing. But what's interesting to note is that she moves objects from one place to another, not necessarily breaking them down and destroying them like an Ogun energy, but she supplants them. Within the vortex of a storm, she holds everything that she removes. So in essence, she represents the supplanting, or one could say the reassigning of power and resources. She brings resources and objects and fortune from one place to another, just like a storm does. She has the ability to even be housed and worked with through the ability of keener insight or keener sight. I would say what I mean by this is your ability to see through the storm's ferocity will allow you to see the actual fortune that the storm carries. When an Oya energy comes, whether it be a personality archetype or whether it be an Oya situation, there'll be a lot of confusion. There'll be a lot of what you think to be chaos. There's a lot of illusion, just like the winds of a storm. And your job is to see to the center, look to the center cause, the underlying cause of what's going on, but also the underlying and central fortune, or what some would call blessing, in the eye of that storm. Whoever has the ability to see that central blessing, or what's being moved from one place to another, is the one who's able to really reap the benefits of that Oya experience or that Oya manifestation. So a lot of Odus that you will read about Oya will deal with the eyes, or eyesight, or preparing eye medicine. And this is also a reference to your psychic ability, a reference to being able to see the underlying cause in things, and being able to invoke your clairvoyant potential to see the unseen motivation behind certain physical and tangible expressions. One of Oya's totems is the buffalo. Deals with fear, because again she deals with the Egun, or the dead, or the ancestors, things that we are afraid of, that live in the dark, that would mean death to our current identity, death to the ego, or even physical death, which is nothing but a release of your spirit, a freeing of your spirit from your cage of melanin and flesh and darkness. But green terror is also known for 8 obstructions that she helps us with, and those obstructions are lions, wild elephants, fires, snakes, thieves, bondage, floods, and demons. Now, again, this is a Oya energy as well. Oya is the mother of 9. Green Tara deals with fear and the 8 obstructions, or the 8 hindrances to enlightenment. The lion represents our attachments or our ideals of self-importance or arrogance. The wild elephants deal with illusion or lack of knowledge. Fire deals with loathing and anger, hatred, fury. Snakes deal with envy or coveting something, or insecurity, which leads to jealousy, delusions of ownership and possession. Thieves deal with us having extreme views, fanatical views that are unrealistic, that are not grounded in the truth, but are birthed mainly from emotional delusion. Bondage represents greed and stinginess. Floods represent our cravings and our attachments. And our demons, or what we would call harmful or injurious spirits, represent deluded fears. And we say deluded because a demon is nothing but hidden substance, things that live in the dark. So to be fearful of things that you cannot see means that you're under a delusion. You know, most of us have very harmful and injurious ideas that come to mind when we think about demons. You know, and a lot of that comes from movies and from third-party definitions, as opposed to one gaining their own definition of what a demon is, or even the root of that word. But again, it's just dealing with hidden dark substance, their own subconscious. In doing this, one goes from the virginal daughter to the married woman of Oya, you know, who married Shango. So it's basically a rite of passage. The water would represent your subconscious mind, which can act as a defense system, a militant defense system, which can actually block you from getting to that island, which is the full realization and actualizing of what you are. Okay. It's always important to remember that Oya is the principle of transition between life and death. That Jebba Island also represents the fortune, you know, an integral stronghold that exists within the eye of the storm. The storm is Oya's way of keeping what she considers to be a primary essential safe and sound. You know, most of the time when we think about Oya defending or attacking, she attacks from above. You know, whether it be through lightning and thunder, or through a hurricane, or a tornado, or a strong gust of wind. But in this particular form, in the Niger River, she creates an encampment at water level, or encircling. Ripping of the black cloth was a way to make an entire kingdom invisible to would-be attackers. So that's another thing that we would invoke the power and the ashe of Oya for, in order to become invisible to a fierce attacker. You know, to be looked over. Oya meets danger for us and keeps us cradled in the safety of her waters, or in the safety of her black magic, or of her storm. We can stay in the middle of the storm safe and sound. The water can be used to generate windstorms and hurricanes, and even torrential rain. Okay, so that's one way, you know, you can interpret that story. Again, I urge you to sit and meditate, you know, listen to that particular legend again, and see what you come up with. Now, I think one of the totems that I expressed to you that Oya signifies with is the buffalo. And I would also urge you to study the buffalo itself. Just a couple of notes. The buffalo is an animal that's not known to panic. So when people always talk about the fierceness or even the craziness of an Oya woman or an Oya energy,